Hi, this is Shara Zwalji from Astral Connections, and here with me I have Lesley Phillips. Lesley is a spiritual teacher. She's an author, a healer, a clairvoyant, how many other things?
Spiritual artist.
Spiritual artist. We'll have to talk about that one. That's a new one. So how are you today, Lesley?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
I'm delighted to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself to start. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, maybe, your growing up. Where did you live? And
Sure.
Yeah.
So you can probably tell by the accent that I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in England, and I spent the first 4 years of my life in England, and then I spent the next 4 or 5 years living in Australia, actually.
Wow.
And then back to England.
Right. And as you were growing up, any interesting things happened in your life that led to a spiritual awakening in any way, or was that later in your life?
No, I would say with me, it's, you know, like different people are different, but with me, I wouldn't say like I had one moment where this was my point of spiritual awakening. I think that from a small child I was open and interested. I used to see, as a kid, coloured lights in the room around me. When I look at the sky is always full of energy to me, and it always has been.
Right.
But I think, like many people, especially in the West, I grew up in a culture and a family where what was most valued was the intellect. And so, you know, what was important to, I guess, my parents was that I did well at school.
Right.
And so I grew up sort of with a really strong academic focus, and then later on I went to university, and I have a degree and I have a PhD as well.
Wonderful.
And yes, and so
in what field is that?
Drug discovery from microorganisms, and so I was an expert in.
So how did you choose such a select field?
Well, I think I was always interested in healing and being a healer, but when you grow up with that academic focus, then to do it in a conventional way, you would either become a doctor or some kind of scientist involved in research to discover medicines, and so that's what I did. And actually it was quite good fun, because I used to have the best of both worlds, in a sense. Yeah, I do. And when I was a scientist, I used to go bioprospecting, so I got to travel to biodiverse areas on the planet and collect samples and teach the local people some microbiology and things like that. So
wow. So then you're clairvoyant, and did your clairvoyance develop over time, or would you say you always had it and you discovered it?
So I'd say I always had it. I'd also say that my philosophy is that so does everybody else.
Of course, yeah.
So it's not a special gift that I have that other people don't have.
Absolutely, but the awareness of it.
Yeah, so because I got programmed very much into my intellect as a kid and programmed out of my intuitive nature, my way back into it was actually through my dreams. And so as a teenager I used to keep a dream diary. And I trained myself to sleep with a dictaphone under my pillow. And I would, while I was asleep, dictate my dreams into the dictaphone. And then I'd wake up and I'd listen to it. And I would have no memory, no conscious memory of what was on there, but it was my voice. And so, and through those dream journals, I had premonitions of world events. I had premonitions of things that would happen in the future of my own life. I met with spirit guides and received guidance. I got information of my own past lifetimes. So I had many interesting experiences and revelations through my dreams.
What prompted you to record, like vocally record your dreams?
So when I first started, I was doing it from memory and writing in a journal. And later on I joined a dream analysis group where we used to work together on our dreams, and I just think it was somebody there who said, you know what, you can learn to train yourself to do this. And so I did.
So what was the process of training yourself to vocally record your dreams?
Well, I guess I'd already trained myself to program my dreams. So, for example, before I went to sleep, I would just have the intention that tonight I want information on this particular aspect.
I see.
And so it was just another step further.
Right.
From that. I mean, I guess to start with you're sort of
Yeah.
semi-conscious, but eventually you just automatically do it.
Essentially train your subconscious
Yeah.
to do pretty much anything if you want to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my way back into the intuitive side, and then from there I started taking classes when I was still in England. Well, I played around with tarot cards for many years, of course, as many people do,
Right.
but then I sort of formally took some training at a place called the School of Insight and Intuition, mainly in healing but also in clairvoyance. And then when I
So
came...
you took up tarot cards because you wanted to enhance your intuitive senses, I suppose.
Yeah. And then in Canada, I trained for many years at a place called the CDM Psychic Institute, and I started off taking meditation and healing classes there. Then I did actually a 2-year clairvoyant training program, and to qualify from that program, I had to do something like 2 2-hour clairvoyant readings a week for 2 years, plus take lots of classes, do lots of healings and all sorts of things, and a lot of personal growth work. Because the idea is to give somebody information, you need to be clear in yourself so that you're not filtering it through your baggage. And then after I'd done that, I did another 2-year program to train to be a spiritual teacher there.
That's, wow, sounds intensive.
It was very intensive. So, you know, and a lot of digging deeply within myself to face, like we all store past experiences, and, you know, and it was a case of digging down and pulling all of that out. A big cleansing process.
Right. How many students were with you in that journey?
You know, I can't remember because they have an intake every quarter.
I see.
But it would be probably as many as 20.
Average, okay.
But over the years, they've actually taught thousands of people there.
Wow.
They've taught a lot of people.
And that experience led you to what?
Well,
It made you want to do, to help others intuitively, I imagine?
yeah, I mean, I guess I wanted to help others intuitively. That was a motivation for doing it.
Yeah.
But, you know, one interesting thing that happened to me when I was doing that very intense work on myself, consciously, was also that I started to draw, and it's kind of like a kind of automatic writing in a way, except it is me drawing it. And I just draw these very interesting, surreal, colourful paintings and drawings.
Right.
And I did it for my own pleasure at the time, because I wasn't a trained artist, I just put them away, didn't show them to anybody. But years later, I did show them.
How many years later?
Well, how many years later? 3 to 5 years. I probably started doing the paintings in 2000,
Okay.
and then I probably picked them up to look at them and do something with them around about 2006. But anyway, people said to me who actually saw them, well, these are not just paintings, they mean something. Have you ever sat and done a clairvoyant reading on one of your paintings? And I said, no, I haven't, but that gave me the idea to do it. Of course. And so I did that, and I discovered that each of these paintings had highly symbolic, multi-dimensional, and could be used both in healing work, like a mandala, for example.
It's interesting, I was just studying mandalas over the weekend for some reason.
But also for reading,
Yeah.
you know, for reading. And so I actually turned the paintings into a card deck that I now sell called Portico Soul Essence Cards.
That's right, you were telling me about those.
Yeah.
Tell us about those.
Yeah, well, it's a card deck of, I should have got a deck in here to show the camera.
We'll grab it.
64 cards, and each one is highly unique, very colourful, and they're fun, and the energy of them is actually very light and uplifting. So you find with a lot of these card decks, they can be quite dark and
heavy. They can be heavy, yeah.
Yeah, this is not. This is very uplifting.
Yeah, it's something like, I guess, Doreen Virtue's Angel Message deck, which is very light.
Yeah, but it's a completely different style of art.
Okay.
And I use them in workshops to help people open their intuition. And I think it's a good way, just like I got into it through my dreams, I think art is another good way to help people who are stuck in their intellectual mind get out of their intellectual mind, you know, by looking at those images and just letting their mind run free, free association. Because I myself now, when I read a client, I'm actually reading from trance and I see energy directly. Okay. So I don't use an intermediary tool like cards.
Cards, okay. And like, I mean, we have readers here who basically use just touch, like, you know, they touch the arm and get readings that way, and those who read visually and get information that way. So like, there are various
well,
pathways to
I'm kind of a very strong clairvoyant, and so when I read from trance and I see, well, we're made of electromagnetic energy, and you store your experiences in structured packages of electromagnetic energy, and to my vision they look, it's like watching a video sometimes, you know, or looking at a photograph. And then...
So they're that vivid?
Yes, yes they are. And I'm also using my clairaudience, and I work a lot with spiritual helpers or spirit guides.
Spirit guides, yeah.
And so, for example, my healing guide communicates with me through my clairaudience.
So tell me your first experience with your spirit guides.
Because I have had so many experiences, it's so...
How are you going to narrow down the first?
Yeah, well, so I've had many experiences with spirit guides, starting from that time in my dreams where I would meet animal totems and those kinds of guides, all the way through to now when I will actively recruit a guide and say, well, I need a guide to help me with this, you know, and I have a method of talking to spirit and ensuring that that's a being with the in line with the highest and greatest good.
Yeah.
And so it's not as if nowadays it's not as if they accidentally come into my life and it's like, oh, here's this amazing spiritual being. I'm so conscious of it that I'm actively working with them. So I have a team of them that I work with.
So then the question rises that, do we need to work with the team, or is there the highest source that you can work with directly?
Yeah, so, and that's a really good question. I work with them because it's fun to work with them, and it's just like working with other people in a team at work. But you're absolutely right that the work that we do, well, I don't like to use the word should be because everyone has freedom of choice,
of course.
But I work ultimately with God, or whatever your word for source, and with my own higher levels of being, and I never channel another entity, and I never give my power away to a guide.
What is your reason for not channeling?
What is my reason for not channeling? I channel myself.
Okay.
So I bring myself in, but it's like I created this body, I'm responsible for this body and what happens in it, and I can communicate with spirit in other ways. I don't need to give them access to my body and allow them to take over my body. If I want to talk to them, I can see them, I can hear them, I can read information about them. I get all the information I want without doing that.
Would you say there's a slight danger in letting spirit control your body?
Yes, I would say that there can be.
Okay.
And I think that you, if you're somebody who's interested in dabbling in that, I think that you really need to be very well educated and very well grounded. You know, you need to really understand what you're doing.
Right.
You need to be really grounded, and it would need to be a being of
benevolence.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but I certainly don't do that, and
it's interesting. It's an interesting subject because there are those who channel and you know, and they feel empowered by channeling
Well,
somebody. And then there are those who have the similar opinion you do, and they feel shy away from channeling. So
yeah, and it's interesting
it's
that
an interesting debate.
It's interesting that you chose the word "they feel empowered by channeling," because you know what I would say about that is that because they don't feel powerful enough themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and then
it's a whole debate.
Yeah. That's an issue then, that you feel that in order to be strong and powerful you need to
channel another.
Bring somebody else in.
Yeah, I was taught by somebody that any spirit guide that you communicate with can be to the right of you, and it doesn't have to be through you per se. It was a very good tool to learn.
Yeah.
So tell us now about your writing. I know you've written, and maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
Sure, and again, funny on the subject of channeling, you know. So my book, it wasn't channeled, but I wrote it with my clairvoyance. So the book already existed in spirit. And so all I had to do was sit down and use my clairvoyance, and the book played itself like a little video, and I would just sit and write down what I saw.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is. So it was a gift to me from spirit, and I think it is me on a higher level of myself.
Of course, it's a gift to humanity from spirit, in a sense, through you.
Yeah. Right? So the book's called The Midas Tree, and it's a spiritual adventure story. So it's a novel.
Can we make it into a movie?
Well, it may be. Let's see what happens. It's just about to be published, and so we'll see what happens from there. But I wrote it like I'm a meditation teacher, and one of the hopes I have for this book is that it will bring meditation to a wider group of people, because it's a different way of accessing the information. So the story is about a boy called Joshua, who, when the book...
Which rings the Joshua tree as a bell.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the first titles I thought of, but when I looked at what a Joshua tree actually looks like, it wasn't quite like I'd imagined my tree in my book to look like. Right. And actually it's called the Midas tree because well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's a symbol of enlightenment, and it's a story of enlightenment. So his adventure is, it's his journey within himself to gain a spiritual perspective and become enlightened. Book starts, he's not born yet, and then he's born into a magical realm inside a tree, which is the Midas tree. And the rest of the book takes place inside this tree. He's travelling in the roots and in the branches, and every chapter is a different adventure. I read this now, I'm already interested in it. And he meets different creatures who are his guides. Some of them are benevolent, some of them are mischievous, but they teach him...
Does he ever get outside the tree?
Well, let's leave that to be the surprise at the end. But one of the things they teach him is that they teach him how to meditate, they teach him how to ground, they teach him how to center, they teach him how to use his own intuitive abilities.
So really it's a guidebook, a meditation guidebook through this boy's journey then.
Yeah, but it's a novel, and so you can read it at different levels. You could just have fun reading the story, or you could actually practice the techniques that are taught in the book as well.
Wow, sounds exciting.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Wonderful. So Lesley's going to join us in December for a talk at Astral, and can you speak a little bit about what that topic is and what we decided would be?
That's right. Well, because it's close to Christmas, it was suggested that I choose a topic with a Christmassy flair, and so I think we called it "A Star is Born, the True Meaning of Christmas."
Yes.
And it's going to be an intuition workshop, but with a Christmassy flavour, because, you know, as many of you might be aware, the Bible itself is a book that is laden with symbolism and ancient spiritual mysteries, and the Nativity, the story of Jesus' birth, and actually his whole life is kind of like a guidebook for how we might become enlightened. But the nativity, there is symbolism in there that is relevant to bringing spirit into the physical body, being conscious in the spirit in the physical body, and actually where there's a roadmap where exactly to place your consciousness to use your clairvoyance. And so that's
I'm
what
really
we'll
looking forward to that.
That's what we'll be finding out about. And I'm not going to say it now because then I kind of give it away what it is. But yeah.
Well, I've exhausted my questions. Do you have anything you want to share? Is there something that...
I think we've covered a really wide range of things. You can visit my website if you want to see my card deck, because I didn't bring it to show you. You can go to drlesleyphillips.com and look at...
Do you have the card deck with you?
It's just outside the door.
Okay, maybe we can grab it and show them.
Okay, I'll just go do that. So this is the card deck. And it makes a fabulous Christmas present.
Will you have some with you?
Yes,
yeah,
I'll
bring some along, maybe.
Yeah, I'll bring some. So it's Portico Soul Essence cards. That's one of my paintings there on the cover. And I'll just open them up and let's pick out a few. Oh, it comes with a little booklet to give you ideas on how to use the cards, and then just a whole bunch of these fun paintings. Here's another one. Try and pick out a few of my favourites to show you. Can I hand them over to you?
Yes, you can.
And then, let's see.
Oh, these are beautiful. Look at the one that she chose. It says Astral.
Yes. Oh, well, isn't that appropriate? And I'll pass you this one. And
Wishes.
yeah, another one.
Divine Will. Oh, they're beautiful.
You see, they're kind of whimsical and fun, and usually what I find is whatever card you choose is the card that is, you need to pick. So why don't you choose one? Let's see what you get. I'll give you the whole deck and you can shuffle them and choose one. And you can use them a card a day, you can use them for affirmations, for dream incubation, and for doing readings as well, or for journaling.
Alright, choosing card.
Oh, incubation.
What's incubation?
Nurture your dreams into physical creations. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense. That's exactly what we're doing with Astral.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's beautiful. It really is.
I also have actually some art cards as well, so that you can choose your favourite card and use it. You can frame it, or you can choose a card for a friend and send them a little note inside of it. So as well as the card deck, there's actually gift cards as well.
Which have the cards on them? Which have the images on them?
The same images,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what Portico means to you.
So Portico, I chose that name. It actually, and I can't remember now whether it's ancient Greek or Roman, but it actually means the entrance.
Port almost seems French, right? Port is door.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe it's Latin originally. So it means the entrance to a temple, and I feel that these cards are like doorways into the spiritual realm. Windows into the soul, like a gateway into spiritual information, and that's why I chose the name Portico, because it really reflects for me what I feel these cards are doing. Yeah,
they certainly call up sensations in your body as you're viewing them.
Yes, yeah, so. And I've had lots of people actually say that to me, Reiki masters and so on, that they really can feel the energy from the cards, and they feel that they're having a transformational effect on the viewer.
Yeah.
Just like the ancient shamans and the Tibetan monks do, these sand drawings and the mandalas.
Yeah.
It's the same principle at play.
Yeah.
In fact, I did for a little while. I was doing soul portraits, so they were paintings for clients. So it would be a transformational.
So you can do individualized portraits for people then, like using the clairvoyance. And let's take me as an example. You would be able to personalize a painting for me.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually find doing the readings are a lot quicker and probably give just as much information. Doing a painting takes a long time and is a bit more expensive, but
yeah, it's interesting.
But yeah, I can do a personalized version for.
It's interesting because I was studying someone called the Mandalist just the last few days, and his mandalas, and he does personalized mandalas for people. So it's just, and then we're talking about mandalas today, and that seems to keep happening, this synchronicity. So.
Well, I found with these paintings that people take the painting and put it on the wall, and then the energy from the painting is having a transformational effect on them for a long time.
Well, I noticed in this one, for example, there's a star, and that's sacred geometry, and it I'm sure it does something to the subconscious.
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Lesley.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.